Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Anne. I am an energy healer as well as a yoga and meditation teacher. And this is Ashley,
Hi,
who is
everybody.
a dear friend of mine. And today we are going to channel Liam Payne, who tragically died about 2 months ago. And yeah, this is not something I normally do. I just wanted to start with. I have been channeling spirit for years. They tend to come through during my energy healing sessions, and I have channeled my friends and family's loved ones when they have crossed over. But I just wanted to share this is not something that I normally do in this public setting, but how this kind of came to be was after Liam passed, I was heartbroken, like I'm sure many of you were, and I was just sending prayers to him. And I was able to connect to his energy quite early on. And just, yeah, trying to support him in crossing over. And probably a week or two after he passed, he asked me if I would channel him. And I said, no way. um, not what I do, and totally out of my comfort zone. That's, again, that's not what I normally do. And he was respectful and he said, okay. And then fast forward, probably, would you say maybe a month ago?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, rough like 3, 4 weeks ago.
you reached out to me and was asking about,
I didn't tell you who, right? I was like very vague about it.
yeah,
And because I was like, I must be losing my mind, right? So I
yeah,
was like, what, why, what is happening that someone who I have never met has crossed over, but is now coming to me. And I have like this immense pain and sadness. And I didn't know this person, but it felt as though like one of my family members had passed away. And you were like, oh, okay, well, how did you hear about them passing, right? And I said, oh, like it's all over the news. And you're like, is it Liam Payne? And I was like, yep, it is.
yeah. And I was
Right.
like, okay,
So, and then we connected on that because you kind of thought you were maybe going a little bit crazy. I thought I was going very crazy. And then we have basically talked about it every single day since.
yes. And he has come through to support both of us in
Yes.
moments of stress. And yeah, he's been very supportive on the other side. He's very funny when he comes
Yep.
through. And again, we were just saying before we even got on here, we're not quite sure why we're doing this, but we feel called and like we're meant to. And my intention is really just to be a clear channel for Liam. He obviously has messages that he wants to share. So that is why I'm here. And Ashley is going to ask the questions. And yeah, and is there
Maybe
any?
we should share that, like, so the way that he comes through for me is very different, right? Than the way he comes through for you. I was kind of having doubts as like, am I kind of making this, is this something that's like in my head or what's going on? And I asked Anne because he always comes and speaks to me in his normal British accent, which I can't do, and I don't know anyone British where I would have picked up on that accent. And she's like, no, that's very much him. If that's what's coming through to you, that's very much most likely him, right? Whereas like you feel his energy more, I think, in a sense, right?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll get visuals, but I think that's just based on our intuitive senses, which ones are stronger.
Yeah.
And I think it's adorable that he comes through to you in that way.
Even just like the random things, right? When he was like, um, just a little backstory, um my son had come home with a not so great test, and I was kind of lecturing him and having a conversation with him, and coming through was Liam saying go easy on the boy in a British accent, which like I would have never said. I don't really know anyone that would have ever said that. And it kind of made me stop in my footsteps for a minute and be like, what is going on? So yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did ask you about that, and you're like, no, you don't know anyone that would say that. You would never use that terminology.
No, and yeah, just for anyone who may be watching, we're from Canada, so we're
Oh,
not
yes.
very familiar with British accents.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think we'll just call Liam in. I feel like his presence is here, but we'll just take a moment to connect.
And I do have all of my questions that have kind of just come through over the last few days um, that I wrote down, and I did talk to you a little bit about some of them. Um, we won't name, we're not going to be talking about his family or
Mhm.
his son, and we won't use very many names.
Yeah, and that's a good reminder. Another thing I wanted to say is this work is very sacred, channeling spirit, and it is a blessing and an honor that he chose us to connect with and to share his message. And yeah, this isn't about, for me, I don't want any attention from this. This is just simply to honor him. I want to be respectful to his friends and his family. I was always taught when you connect to spirit, you have permission, right? So I would never just tell someone, hey, like your dad's coming through, unless, I'm very, like, they're my best friend. So yeah, with that being said, we're going to honor his family, his loved ones in this video. Okay, so he feels like he's connected here. Yeah, how about for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have like tears in my eyes because, yeah, it feels
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Okay, so if you're ready, we can begin.
All right. So maybe we should just start with like how is he feeling today?
Yeah, he feels good. He feels there's some nervous energy, and I thought maybe it was my own, but I feel like today is a big day for him too. There's some things that are going to be coming out, some maybe I don't want to say details. They feel more like not truths. So there's some nervousness around that is what I'm feeling.
So that's probably the Roger Norris TMZ interview, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. So maybe we can touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, and what he's showing me right now is just like a floodgate. So it feels like this is going to just open up many things,
Okay.
and maybe some truth and some not so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so what was Roger doing at the hotel the day that you passed?
I'm just getting the word contributing, like he was contributing. And
Positively?
in a way of like providing things. Um, it almost feels like there's like this hectic environment around him. Yeah, it just felt like he was kind of contributing to the chaos, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Um, and at this moment, at that time, was Roger your manager?
He says it's complicated.
Okay.
Um, that was a relationship in the past, but it feels like it kind of shifted a little bit, and he's played a role in his life, like it
Yeah.
almost like he's kind of showing me like he looked up to him in a way and sought him out for advice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think it doesn't feel like that was his official role at the time of his
Okay.
passing. Mhm.
Um, so in we saw a little snippet of that TMZ interview. And in that interview, Roger said that he had been to the hotel 3 times that day, the day of your passing. Um, but he had already left when you passed. Is that true?
He's showing me like, yes, that is true, but it feels like moments before things
Okay.
kind of turned. Like it,
Okay.
yeah, it feels like he just left him.
Was he in your hotel room when you were on the balcony?
No.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay. So normally you would travel with a really large team of people, right? You would have your security and your PR. Where were they in those last moments?
Right. There's lots coming through. So there, it feels like there's a mix. It feels like some of them were fired and some of them it was their day off.
Okay.
Yeah, like it feels like, yeah, some of them were just no longer, like some of them, um, yeah, he's saying it feels like the PR quit. And then security was like he's showing me there's during his trip he had moments of help, but it was not like his regular crew. Like it feels like people they just hired for the trip. Like it doesn't feel like his
Oh,
regular who he would
right.
have around him normally. Yeah.
Is he able to share why his PR quit?
It's saying PR nightmare. There was
Okay.
just much
Okay.
going on around that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Prior to you going to Buenos Aires, had you been sober?
Yeah. Yeah, he's saying probably like a month. I'm just sorry, I'm trying to say if it's a month and a half before he left or a month and a half since he was there. But he was sober. It was just the last month and a half that he wasn't.
Okay.
Hmm.
So what changed for him in that month and a half that he decided to leave his sobriety?
I'm not getting a exact, it feels like a lot of things. It feels like there was struggling and there was pressure. And it's something where he'd be doing good and then anytime there was any sort of trigger, he would relapse. So I don't know, it doesn't feel like there was like one thing. It's
One
just,
specific thing. It was a
yeah.
bunch of different. Okay. Okay.
And he's saying environment too is really big. He's quite sensitive and maybe didn't have the tools to be aware of how different people, energy, places affected him. So he's saying environment also played a part into that
Okay.
and the people around him.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry, I didn't write these questions in order. So I'm like trying to go through them. um, so we know that your ex-fiance had written a book prior to you passing. Did you read any of it, or were you aware of the contents in the book?
He didn't read it. He was aware of some of the things because he was told.
Hmm.
Um, he does want to say too, it feels like this book started when they were still together and he supported it.
Yeah, that's
And
a
then,
that's a true thing. She did say that in an interview, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he's acknowledging that. And then obviously when things didn't work out, that was, yeah. changed the, I guess, the trajectory of the book.
Okay. So he ended that relationship. Um, why?
He's telling me if it was more mutual. Yeah, he was saying even if, someone said it first or whatever,
Yeah.
the feelings were mutual. They both knew that it was time to move on.
Okay.
And he was just saying it was just unhealthy.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so 2 days prior to you passing, you had received a cease and desist from your ex-fiance. Um, how did that make you feel?
Frustrated.
Did you being frustrated have anything to do with um, the drinking or the substance abuse that may have happened leading up to your passing?
I feel like he doesn't want, obviously, there's no blame.
Yeah.
Um, I think anyone could recognize that probably contributed a bit. He said on the list of things that was more down here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the day that that cease and desist came out is also the day that your current girlfriend had left Buenos Aires. Did that have anything to do with her leaving?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was she aware of it?
He's showing me like after the fact. Like, it feels like after when she got home. Like it doesn't feel like
She knew in that moment.
yeah.
Okay. Um, there was a news article that said your ex-fiance was actually staying at the same hotel that you were at in Buenos Aires, which may be one of the reasons that had contributed to um, everything that happened leading up to your passing. Is that true?
That feels false. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think so either, but okay. Um, So Anne and I had watched another interview, another channeling experience that you had with Michelle, the medium, where you had mentioned that some of your relationships were just not in good places. Um, did that have something to do with your girlfriend leaving?
Protective of her.
Okay.
And he just wants to say like that. All right, let me just get the words. He's making me feel like whatever happened was it was just like a normal relationship. I don't think he didn't feel like he obviously wanted her to leave, but also understood where she was coming from. And it doesn't feel like there was a big blowout or
Blow
anything.
up or anything. Okay.
Yeah. And then he also just wants to add, like, yeah, this woman is grieving more than you could ever know. And she's going to carry that for the rest of her life that she left, and just really wants people to be gentle on her. And of course, when tragedy happens, we always look like who's to blame, right? We always think we need to blame someone, but there's at the end of the day, there's no one person to blame. Definitely not her. She feels like she was a very big support for him for the however long they were together. And he's just sharing like it's just a snowball effect of so many decisions that, you know, this person could have made, or he's saying him,
Yeah.
more importantly than anyone else, could have chose different and this wouldn't have happened, right? So he wants to take, there are others involved, but he doesn't want
Yes.
her to be anything to do with any sort of blame, because that's not the case.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, there was videos and pictures of you sitting in the hotel lobby with your laptop, and something had come through on the laptop, which people who witnessed the situation said it made you very angry, and you ended up smashing the laptop. Are you able to share a little bit of what came through on the laptop?
It does feel work related.
Okay.
Um,
Did it possibly have anything to do with your record label dropping you?
I feel like it is related to that. Um, yeah, he's not being very specific. He's just saying it was work related.
Okay. And so when he was in Buenos Aires, um, was he working on new deals, new work things?
He had ideas, yeah. Mhm.
Was Roger supposed to be one of those people to help you land those deals and help in those work related things?
Mm. Okay. I don't, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to share what he's sharing. It feels like, you know, kind of those people in your life who are just there, like, oh, yeah, we can do that. We can, like, the yes people who just say anything's possible, but really they're just using you, or they're just saying that. Like, it
Yeah.
feels like that kind of situation.
Okay.
Not saying he didn't have connections, but it just felt, it doesn't feel,
Good. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. What were you doing outside on the balcony prior to you passing?
Yeah, he's saying he was trying to escape and was trying to get down. Yeah, he had
Is he able to share what he was trying to escape?
um it feels like whoever was outside the door, the energy was very negative. So I don't know. It just feels like he wasn't being treated well from this. I feel like there was a group of them, but this one person in particular. And he just felt trapped and he wasn't in his right mind. Like he felt like that was the only way that he could leave. Where if he was sober, he's saying he would know his power. He would know that no one could make him stay in a room. He would know that he could leave, right? So it just feels like because of the state he was in, he kind of, yeah, there was fear. And also I think there was probably, well, I don't want my own bias, but yeah, he's just saying he wasn't in the right state of mind.
Can he elaborate on that a little bit more? Like, did he willingly take substances, or was he tricked into taking them?
It feels like he willingly took them, but he didn't know what he was taking. Like it's not something he would have normally taken, and he didn't really, I don't, did you know that before you took it or after? after the fact and after the way it affected him, he realized it wasn't what he thought it was. And then again, going back to this feeling of it doesn't feel like he sought this out on his own. Like it feels like there was influences around him that he's kind of showing me like a kid in a candy shop, right? Like maybe that's a bad example, but like, how do you say no to a sugar or a candy bar when it's right in front of your face?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did Roger play a part in that?
Yeah.
Were there any, when you were on the balcony trying to escape, were there people in your hotel room with you or were you alone?
Yeah. It feels like they were just outside. It doesn't feel like they were in.
When he says outside, does he mean like outside on the balcony with him or like down below?
No, like outside the door, like outside
Oh,
the,
the other.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. What was he scared of in that moment?
Getting the word like trapped. Just that feeling of being trapped and like yeah.
Okay.
And there was just, yeah, this uneasiness again with the energy that was directed at him from this person,
Mhm.
with negativity. Yeah.
Um, did he have his cell phone on him?
Yeah. Feels like he did. He's showing me and then it's smashed.
It was in like the crossbody.
Or his pocket, but yeah, it feels like it was on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry. And were the police able to take his phone?
He's showing me like it's cracked or smashed, but I feel like just with the way phones work, they were able to get into everything message wise and app
Okay.
wise. Yeah.
And so they have been using his phone. Oh my God.
What's your dog trying to say?
Right? What's happening out there? Were they able to retrieve any information from his cell phone?
Yes. Okay. Sorry, because I never think anything's a coincidence. And with your dog barking, sounds like they're barking at the door, right?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just to me, and it's like a fearful bark
Yeah.
is kind of representing what he was trying to share, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll just wait till they're done.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting like that's how he was feeling with whoever was on the other side of that door.
hmm,
Hey?
yeah. Yeah. I'm like scared and trying to protect.
God.
Okay. Do you want to ask the question? And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Okay. When you were on the balcony, were you still alive? Were you still coherent?
Not 100%, but he was still
in
there.
a state of being able to or trying to escape, right?
Hmm.
There was a bag on the second balcony that supposedly he had thrown to the second balcony. What was in that bag?
Yeah, he's saying not great things. He's showing me like a bottle, so I don't know if that's a liquor bottle. And then it just feels like some personal belongings, like clothing and things like that.
Um, if he would have escaped, where was he going?
He's showing me like a car. I don't know if he really had that big of a plan, but it feels like he planned on just getting a driver of
Okay.
sorts.
Yeah.
And yeah, it feels like he wanted to just leave. Like he's just showing me like leave. Like I don't know if he could have went to the airport, but just basically just get out of there.
So there had been reports that your work visa was taking longer than expected, which I think is why I think the original plan was to be in Buenos Aires for 5 days, right? And then the trip ended up being extended to 2 weeks. Did that have something to do with your work visa?
Yeah, it was extended. I feel like more is gonna come out about that. It does feel like there's some, I don't know the word, shadiness, trickiness around that. Yeah, there's something there he's showing me. Um, and at the time, he didn't really understand what was going on. He was just like, why is this taking so long? But just from his perspective now in spirit, he was able to see that, yeah, there was something fishy
Did
going on.
Roger have something to do with that?
Just hearing higher up.
Okay.
So, yeah, higher up than Roger.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Will the truth of what really happened that night ever come out?
He's saying bits and pieces. It's hard because no one was there, right? Nobody trustworthy was there. Everyone who's involved is trying to save their own. So, and again, the people that were there, they weren't there the whole time. So there's a lot of almost showing me like a pieces of a timeline, trying to put it all together like a puzzle. Um, so the important parts he is sharing. He is sharing. There is video
Mm-hmm.
that the hotel is trying to hide. And it feels like I'm not sure who, but money's involved. They're trying to pay people off to not do that. Yeah, there will. He's saying justice will be served. It's important to know, especially his family and his fans, like they're not going to let this rest until the people who are involved are accountable. Yeah, there's I don't know how much I want to say on here because this is going to be public, but um it just feels like music related stuff. I don't think he was killed by any means, but just some stuff that was going on in the back end does feel like it contributed to um with just the label and the visa, that kind of stuff. There's a piece to it there too. So I don't know if that will ever be made to light because obviously he's just showing me the strings. The people who pull the strings are very powerful. So that is a piece, but he's saying the people that were at the hotel and contributed with the drugs, they will be held accountable.
Okay. Um, had there been no issues with his visa, would he have gone back home at the same time as his girlfriend? Or was he like truly enjoying himself and
No,
wanting? No.
yeah, he would have went earlier. He didn't
Okay.
plan on being there that long.
Was Was his visa only for him to return to the States? Could he not have gone back home to the UK?
I feel like he could have went home, but then he would have had to start the process all over again, and he didn't want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because then he wouldn't be able to enter the US until he had the visa. So
Okay.
it's just showing me in his mind it was just easier just to wait and get it there instead of starting over.
Yeah. So when he left the United States to go on this holiday, um, did he know what was going on with his visa? Did he have to leave the United States?
Yeah, he's saying it like it was expiring, so he had
Okay.
um to do that. It's interesting. He's saying he could have done it from anywhere. It feels like certain people were involved to make it happen there. Um, but yeah, he didn't know it was something that needed to be taken care of.
Okay. The fact that his record label had dropped him, did that have anything to do with the visa taking so much longer?
He's saying it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, I'm not comfortable. My angels are coming in and they don't want me to talk about that. Just yeah, we'll just
Okay.
leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Was he working on finding a new record label while he was in Buenos Aires?
It doesn't feel like it. It feels like he did want to take a little bit of a break, and just focus on other things. Yeah, he's saying as much as he loves music, it just wasn't fun with the pressure of not being able to do what he wanted to do. And
Which he had openly, like, in a lot of his podcast interviews, he was very open about that.
yeah, so it feels like he was just taking a little step back and wanted to focus on other business ventures.
Okay. Um, so what would you like to have happen with all of the music that you've made but hasn't been released yet?
He says for his fans, he would like it released, but he wants it to be released from the right people, people coming from their heart and who have good intentions.
Yeah. And
Mm.
will that happen? Will his music end up in the right hands where that?
Yeah, he's showing me he's making sure he's getting the right people on board and he's making moves from spirit world. So yeah, he will.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so you and I know it feels the world collectively, um, we can really feel the mourning, right, of his loss. Um, so is there anything that he would like to share with
Yeah.
his fans, his family?
Yeah, he has so much love for everyone. He's showing me he can hear and see every prayer, every thought about him. And it is heartbreaking. He's showing me he never knew how many lives he impacted while he was on earth. And he just has so much love. He's saying, all the love you have for me, I have that times 10. And he's showing me he sends it back to everyone. And um he'll come through in the form of a song or even just a happy thought or a funny video or clip of him. Like he's always kind of sending his fans love that way. um yeah, and he's with everyone. He feels like he sticks close to earth right now just to help everyone with the grief.
Mhm. Is he going to help Is he going to help in the investigation and getting the right people convicted for what happened to him?
He's saying his father is more so than anyone. There again, there's a lot of people trying to pay people off to be quiet, but yes, he's helping. He's showing me a team actually of people around him, like of guides, um, and angels who are also helping. And yeah, there's a lot of people on the earth as well, but he's saying his dad's a big player as well as he has a spirit team helping too.
Okay.
Oh, and he wants to say too, like the fans, like they're I want to use the word ruthless, but I can't think of another. They're not going to let this go until justice is served, right? So he feels very appreciative of that as well.
Um, so in a lot of the podcasts or interviews that he had done, he had in one specific interview, he had said that he wasn't sure if he had even hit rock bottom yet, and that most people would never know because he was really good at hiding it. Um, was he still working on his mental health? Was he still talking to a therapist prior to?
What I'm seeing is like it feels like there's a slip. So
Okay.
to me, that means like he took a step back from that.
Yeah.
Um, just like anyone who struggled with mental health, he's saying you work on it on a daily basis, and sometimes it's going okay, and other days it's not. So it is something he was always consciously aware of, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't feel like he was actively, yeah, doing. He's showing me a big part of it was like working out and eating well and being mindful of his triggers, and he's just saying um, he wasn't 100% on all of those things.
Okay.
Yeah, during that last month.
So in news articles and pictures and stuff that, and even like on his Snapchat, um, while his girlfriend was in, um, while his girlfriend was in Buenos Aires with him, he looked to be doing really well. Um, and then when she left is kind of when it seemed as though things had kind of gone downhill. Um, can he elaborate a little bit on that? Obviously, we know she was definitely helping him or kind of keeping his spirits maybe a little bit more elevated. Um,
Yeah, he's just saying again,
he was just here.
he doesn't want to there's no blame. Yeah, just like anything. I don't know if if you've experienced this, but when you're with your loved ones and your family, you tend to do better. And then when
Yeah,
you're to your own devices, that's kind of when things can go sideways, right?
yeah,
And not being around the right people either doesn't help.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, that's really all I think I had. I don't, did you have anything that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I wrote a couple things, but I just want to
Hey,
ask him if there's anything he wants to share, anything that we didn't cover today. Hmm. Yeah, and this came through to me the other day too. The main thing is he doesn't want to be remembered for his death.
yeah,
That was, he's saying not even a full day. He started out his day okay, and just the last couple hours took
yeah,
a turn. And he is just saying out of everything in his life, that's not what he wants to be remembered for. And it's tragic. He's saying he wishes it never ended that way. That's not how he ever wanted to go, but just to remember him and honor him for who he truly was, those good moments, right? With his singing and his songwriting and his laugh and his goofiness. And um, yeah, and as you mentioned, uh, I've watched a couple older interviews with him, and um, right, you can see when he was younger, just that purity and that innocence, and that, yeah, he just wants to be remembered for that. Um, all the love and his kindness too, right? Like he was such a beautiful, generous soul. And this is something I was reflecting on last night. Like when someone is a star, so to speak, like their aura is so big, right? To be able to hold that many people. I remember in my yoga training them saying like the clearer and the bigger your aura is, the more people you can hold and be of service to. So if you think of these celebrities who can hold thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, that light is there, right? And yes, he did battle with mental health struggles and addiction, but just remembering him for who he truly is, on a soul level.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then he wants, and I know this is part of the grief process, but so many people, they may believe in heaven, but they don't have evidence, I guess, or remember it. He's just saying he's okay where he's at now. Of course, he misses his loved ones and his family and his son, and that's hard, seeing them with the grief. But he's saying it's beautiful, it's light. There's no more heaviness. There's no more. He's just showing me his mind is clear. So knowing he is at peace now and he is okay where he's at. And yeah, again, he wants to thank and honor and just send so much love to everyone who is a fan, who is thinking of him, who's sending love to his family. Um, yeah, his brothers, he's saying, which I'm assuming is his bandmates, and yeah, he has a lot of love. And again, he sends signs to everyone. He's just like how he was in the physical, very caring, very generous with his time. It feels like in the spiritual, he's very generous, sending signs, sending love, trying to be there for everyone who's grieving him. And he did want to talk about mental health a little bit. So the first thing he's saying, for anyone who doesn't know anyone or who hasn't struggled with mental health, it's hard to understand like why someone who on the outside seems to have everything, on the inside, why they would be feeling the way they're feeling and why they would do the things they've done. And he's just saying that it is. So it feels like a lot of things, like it could be in your DNA, but also ancestral patterns to get passed down to heal, and even could be karma from a past life, right? So there's a lot of layers to it. And if you don't have the support, like you have to remember, it's talked about more now, but even when we were growing up, was a huge stigma around mental health. And
Oh, huge. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that I could, like, you couldn't even really go to your parents. And like, I remember, like, even if you were like sad just in a moment, and your parents would be like, you're fine, get over it.
yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, it was never talked about.
No, or you were crazy or you wanted attention, or yeah. And he's saying like, there were moments when he did try and speak about it, but then sometimes there would be backlash. And it would be like, woe is me, why are you complaining? Whatever. And that's just not fair. He's hoping that And I feel like that's part of his work in the spirit world, is just anyone who is struggling gets the help and the support that they need and the compassion.
I mean,
Um,
even when he was here Earthside, just the way that he spoke so freely about it, I feel like helped a ton of people. There wasn't really very many people, or isn't very many people, in their early 30s, and I mean, he had talked about it even before then, but not very many celebrities or someone who has a lot of people looking up to them really openly spoke about their mental health struggles. And he did so beautifully and so eloquently. And you could tell that he was holding space for other people who were going through similar things, right?
And I think especially as a man, there is that extra layer too of being vulnerable, right? So yeah, that I feel like that's part of his work here, even when he was on the earth, but especially now as a spirit. And um, yeah, the other thing he just wanted to touch on is he's a very giving person, right? And coming into the holiday season. So just doing what you can. I wrote down some mental health charities. So Rethink Mental Health, Child Mind Institute, the Canadian Mental Health Association. There's so many. So just go in there, do some research, see how it feels in your heart and your gut, and if it's something you want to donate to and to support in his honor, that would be amazing. Another thing he just wants to add, and I think this is probably coming from me too, but just with anything in life, but especially when news comes out, it seems like every day there's a new piece of evidence or person talking or whatever to do with this case. Always just coming back to your heart, noticing how it feels in the body. Like, does that feel true to me? And you'll know because it'll feel light. And if it's not true, it'll feel heavy and icky. So just,
And to check your news sources, right? Like,
yeah. And again, that's not how he wants to be remembered, but I think it's just important with anything. Just don't always believe what you read or what you hear. With media and just everything online, it's easy to get, I don't know, stories mixed up and not true. And so yeah, just always honoring how that feels in your body, I think is really important. Okay. Anything else, Liam? Mm, no, yeah, and I feel like he spared me a bit today with some of the details. And like I said, there was some things I just wasn't comfortable going deeper on, just again for my own energy. And I think there's, more is going to come to light. A lot of these big industries are crumbling, but I I don't want to touch it. I like to stay in the light. I like to yeah, just stay in the love, and that is not where I want to go, but he is saying more will come to light. So just trusting that it's justice will be served and he's okay where he's at. And he's sending so much love. And thank you to you, Ashley, for doing this with me. I never would have done this. Um, you weren't here. And yeah, thank you, Liam. You are such a beautiful, bright light. And I hope this world remembers you as that, not your struggles. So thank you for coming through and sharing your messages. And yeah, it's funny. So he's saying
thank
thank you. Thank you, everyone who watches this. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you for watching.